for human beings. There's a time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.
So do you think we're heavily influenced by the V for Vendetta movie?
Kind of.
Very much so?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say it has a meaning to what we're all trying to do, really, you know?
Kind of advocate of breaking symbolism.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
And you're going to make that happen by blowing up a building?
The building is a symbol, as is the act of destroying it. Symbols are given power by people. Alone, a symbol is meaningless, but with enough people, blowing up a building can change the world.
I wish I believed that was possible. But every time I've seen this world change, it's always been for the worse.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Kind of keeps us down a little bit. I just recently found out, I did a little bit of research on Guy Fawkes.
Yeah.
And apparently he was a mercenary, or a gun for hire, essentially, for the Catholic Church.
Great.
And I was wondering, like, his attempt at blowing up Parliament in the 1600s was actually an attempt to overthrow the Protestant king. And so I was wondering if it's any more, I mean, ironic that you would use a symbolism of a man who was trying to perpetuate the Catholic Church, which at the time was pretty tyrannical. Do you know very much about Guy Fawkes, or you're just using it for a...
V for Vendetta is what I know.
Cool. You weren't born in the 50s, were you? What's your take on Guy Fawkes himself, or are you just using it as a symbol kind of for...
For me, I think just the metaphor of the oppressed
Okay.
fighting against the oppression.
Okay.
That's what it means for me.
And did you see V for Vendetta?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I'm not condoning the violence.
No, no, no.
On your knees! On your knees!
Like, for example, would you feel that Washington would be a lot better if it didn't have all of the symbols that kind of glorify Washington as a center?
I think the symbols have been bastardized. I think they've
Sure.
been perverted. What they stood for in the beginning, they no longer stand for. As it, all
Sure.
of our government has turned against what it really meant, which was absolute freedom for us, and we don't have it.
Would you like to see Arizona a little bit stronger and DC less so?
If I knew that it wasn't as corrupt as it is, if we could have a true democracy here in Arizona and be state by state governed, I don't see that would be difficult. I think our country has grown so much from the beginning of that it's getting more difficult to manage as a whole. And if we were
Hard to manage by 500 and some odd people in DC, right?
Especially when they're going into other pockets that don't belong in Washington or in government. And that's been the biggest issue. Whether we can keep that from happening here in Arizona on a local level is questionable.
Sure.
10% across the board tax, and
Would you cancel the current tax code in favor of a 10% across the board tax? So you're down for a flat tax?
flat tax straight across the board for everyone. Nobody's exempt.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It closes a lot of loopholes, doesn't
Yes,
it?
it does.
What about Herman Cain's 999 plan. What do you feel about that?
I don't know. I'm not comfortable with Herman Cain and his black walnut flavor of the week. Really bothered me.
You are not a big fan of black walnut?
I found that really condescending.
Okay.
And it just totally turned me away from the guy.
Sure.
So.
Dude, Herman Cain will be here on the 17th of this month, so this Monday at 7 o'clock at the Phoenix Convention Center. Do you think we will be occupying the Phoenix Convention Center?
I will be there, and I will
All
hope
right.
that we will
All right.
all be there, definitely.
Okay, cool. Thank you for your time.